Okay, hi. So we are now going to look at how to upload our paperback book to Amazon KDP back end. As you can see here, here's my bookshelf. And again, if you're uploading your own title, you're going to hit the new paperback here. I am right now going to be uploading an updated version of an existing book, but we're going to go through basically the same steps. So we will start at the beginning. Now again, you may notice that when you're uploading an ebook and a paperback that you have to put in all the information twice. That is very true. So what helps is to sort of have an HTML doc. I use an app called Notepad. It's the same thing as your sort of WordPad editor, but it's a little bit nicer. I'll show you here. So it's just an HTML only thing, and that way it doesn't get any markup that like Microsoft Word or something gets in it. So you can copy and paste your title and your subtitle. Again, with the paperbacks, those cannot be changed after you publish, so you want to make sure those are correct. Series and edition, once again, we can skip those. Your author name, again, Judy Marie Bailoff, cannot be changed for your ISBN, for your paperback ISBN. And your description, this is why you're going to want to have your HTML editor. You can see your source code here, so you can copy this source code from your KDP description after you do that, and then paste it into, let's see, copy this. We'll paste it there, and this way you see this markup in here. That way you have the markup so that after you've done your bold and your italics and stuff, that it stays there. And then this again is going to be the same keywords that you chose before. I own the copyright for your publishing rights. And the categories are the same. Some people argue you need different categories for your paperback book. I don't really think so. I don't know what big difference that would make. We're really worried about our Kindle book in terms of ranking. So I choose based on the Kindle book and then add the same categories there. My book does not include adult content. If you're wondering about how the categories look like as well, when you're going through to choose them, so this is a nonfiction book, Body, Mind, and Spirit. Just a general tip is you want to get as many down as possible in terms of the nested categories. So if you just pick Body, Mind, and Spirit as one of your, I can't add any because I have the two here. If you just pick Body, Mind, and Spirit, there's going to be a lot of books competing. But if you pick Body, Mind, and Spirit, Astrology, Eastern, or like, let's see how far you can get down. And again, obviously these need to be related to your actual book. You can't just guess, but you can get a little bit creative. You know, Hermetism is the underlying philosophy behind the 12 universal laws that this book is about. Is it like directly about Hermetic philosophy? Yeah, yes and no. But so it still is applicable, but that is a category that has very little competition. So it made sense to get it in there so we could get that Amazon #1 bestseller badge. Anyway, so those are the categories here. Once you've done your Kindle and you're doing this for the paperback, it should be very quick. There isn't a need to write a different intro or anything, or sorry, book description, book blurb for your paperback Amazon page than your Kindle one. It's just copy and paste. Again, for the ISBN, you can get their free ISBN. I don't recommend doing that if you are planning on doing broad publication. If you'd like to publish on Apple, Google, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, any of those, then I would recommend having your own ISBN so that it is standard and the same across all of them. All of these publishing sites will give you a free ISBN, but then you're going to have a free KDP ISBN and a free Barnes & Noble ISBN and a different one on every site. So I honestly think it's worth the money if you're serious about your book to go ahead and get that. Your publication date, you will not fill that out. It will autofill when you publish. And here we get to the exciting part, the print options. So you can choose black and white with white paper or with cream paper. That is a style decision. That's up to you. The cream paper is a little bit thicker than the white paper. For this book, we chose white. I think a lot of novels have cream. This book in particular has a very crisp look to it, and it is not a novel, so we went with white. And this book has a very weird trim size of 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. It's a big square. I can show you a proof of it here. Yeah, so this is not normal. 90% of the time are probably going to be publishing a 6 by 9. If your book is a little shorter, you can use a 5 by 8. But here, I'll make myself a little bit bigger. 5 by 8 is a smaller novel, and if you are running up against page restrictions, so your book has to be a minimum of 24 pages to be in paperback format, then choosing 5 by 8 over the 6 by 9 can be helpful if it's hard for you to get to that minimum if you're just doing a short ebook or something. But otherwise, it's really up to you. I would stick with the standard 5 by 8 or 6 by 9 if you're writing any kind of novel, fiction, whatever. This book is a daily devotional, which is why it's okay in that format, but there's no reason you should ever be writing a novel and then putting out a square book. Otherwise, square books are mostly reserved for children's books. Okay. You are most likely going to be choosing no bleed. The bleed setting tells you how far to the edge of the page something goes. So in this case, on the month of July, you see that image goes all the way to the edge. If there was no bleed, there would be a little border there. So essentially the bleed is an extra bit of paper around the page that has your pattern or image on it to make sure that it can print all the way to the edge. If you don't have any images that go to the edge of your book, you do not need bleed, and most novels will not. So just click no bleed and you're good to go. And as far as your cover finish, matte or glossy, again, up to you. I think a matte cover looks very classy, but the glossy cover is far more common. So that is just a personal preference. I cannot help you there. And now here is the exciting part. We are going to upload our paperback manuscript, which I have put here. And this is where a lot of people are going to get a lot of errors. So it's very important to just check everything. Check every single page. Make sure every single page in your book looks right. Don't just jump to the end. Whenever you upload a new cover or a new interior, my cover does not need to be changed, so I'm going to leave that. That's processing there. It's going to ask us to launch the previewer again to make sure that there are no issues. So we'll go ahead and launch that. And this can take a couple minutes, so I'm going to put on a quick pause. Okay, we're back. That usually takes 3 or 4 minutes. So here we are in, I'm going to make myself smaller again. Here we are in the print previewer, and we've got all these lines here, and you can see your spine. I just want to warn you, I think the margin of error for printing on Amazon and Ingram Spark, any print on demand, is going to be about 3 millimeters. And while that doesn't sound like a lot, it can make a big difference on your spine when you end up getting something slightly off center, like Judy's name there. You can do a couple of rounds to try to tweak it. You're not guaranteed with every single printing to be the same. You're always going to have that 3 millimeter margin of error. So one thing I really recommend in terms of your cover is do not have an image that stops at your spine. If you have any images, make sure it wraps all the way around the book, because it's very hard to get it to align. I don't think I have, for example, like this book, where there's an image on the front that stops for the spine. That's very hard to do in print on demand. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it takes more trial and error than exact measurements. It is what it is. So anyway, over here you have your quality check. Print Preview did not find any issues because this book has already been approved and is for sale. But they will tell you if there's something wrong. And what you really want to make sure is that you're inside this red line. All your text should be inside the red line. And any images, I think they tell you somewhere on here. Where does it say? I thought there was a little guide to what the guides are. But anyway, the red guide is for text, and the white guide is to make sure your images go past it, because that will be printable. And just go ahead and read all these little messages over here. Text to prevent text getting cut off during manufacturing. If you use a template, make sure you removed any placeholders. Yeah. And the barcode shouldn't overlap any text. So that looks good, and we're going to move forward. And again, this is your gutter, this inside, and then your margins on the outside. And your gutter is going to be bigger than your margins. It should in any book. This book especially is over 400 pages, or exactly 400 pages. So it's important that the bigger the book, the more space you need to be able to see, so that your text does not run into the center. So that's another very rookie mistake, is to make your margins the same on all sides, and then you got to pull the book apart to even try to see the middle. So we want to go, I'm not going to go through every single page of this book because I already have. I was just fixing a typo that I found. But this is really important with the bleed. So you can see that this image goes outside of the text box and all the way to the edge of the paper. How I did that was I uploaded a file that was larger than the 8.25 inches by 8.25 inches. The file I made in InDesign adds, in 9 millimeters, however that much that is in inches, adds an extra 9 millimeters of my image so that when Kindle goes to read the book, it can make it going right to the edge. So that's what I'm talking about when I say bleed, and why you'll only need to turn bleed on if you have any images like that. If you don't, and all your text sits in the middle of the page like a normal book, you absolutely do not need bleed. What you need to do is make sure that all of your, make sure that all of your text is inside these lines. And you can even see how much extra margins I added to, this is their sort of visible margin area, right? So like if you type it here, you're not gonna be able to see it. I had to add this much extra to my book in order to make it look balanced, in order to make so you could see it when the book was laying flat out. So those are all considerations when you're making your paperback. Again, I don't need to go through every single day of this book. I already have, but you, when you do yours, need to go page by page, every single page, and look slowly around. Look for your page numbers. Make sure those are centered with your text, not centered on the page. Again, because these margins, these interior margins are much bigger than the exterior ones, your text isn't actually centered on the page. It's centered against this whole spread. So this number 18 is not in the middle of this page. It's in the middle of this text. And that's something that can seem awkward to first-time authors. But you can see this, you know, that's how the page numbers are. And you just want to make sure, if you have running heads, you know, the thing at the top that says your name and the chapter name or whatever, you want to check those on every single page. Every single page. I can't tell you how many times a mistake has gotten through because I said, oh, I've already edited this. And it just, you know, and I missed something, because we all do that sometimes. So now I am just absolutely, you know, time and time again, you can't edit too many times. Okay. So, and again, I have these bleeds at the end of every chapter, so I want to make sure that that's not jumping over into the next chapter. That looks great. So I don't need to look at this anymore since I've already done it, and I was literally just fixing one typo. But I can go ahead and approve it, and when you're done going through all your pages, you can approve it as well. If you have errors there, some common errors in Microsoft Word, you can accidentally have different page sizes. Your pages, when you convert to PDF, can be a different page size than what you say you're trying to upload. You know, there can be bleed, images, having too low of a resolution is another common one. I'm going to try to go through as many as I can think of and make those onto blog posts. But if you're coming up, if you have stumbled upon a problem that I haven't covered yet, let me know immediately and I will fast track it in terms of how to fix it, troubleshooting, make a blog post on it, and walk you through it so that you can get your book up as soon as possible. I currently have a list of about 150 posts to put up on this blog, so it is a lot of work ahead of me, and we'll see how quickly I can get them done, but I am here to help for anyone looking for it. Okay, let's go ahead and continue our publishing journey. So we have uploaded that. We have uploaded our cover. Again, do not use the cover creator, and I will be doing a couple detailed posts about how to do covers for paperbacks. They are a bitch, and it's very easy for it to be off center and to look like shit. And I mean, trust me, I've done 400 books, and I've learned so many things along the way. Your color management is off. Whatever your cover looks like in KDP, your cover probably won't look like in paperback. The colors are a lot more muted in real life than on the internet, so you need to use CMYK instead of Adobe color management. So if that doesn't mean anything to you, or if it does and you're very frustrated by it, I'm also going to have a couple posts about that and ways to keep the color on your paperback cover bright and not as muted as when you just sort of transfer your KDP cover over. Okay, we have done our previewer. Here we have our book summary, our printing cost, $5.65. It's quite expensive. This is a very big book. The bigger your book, the more expensive it is. Okay, sorry, I just paused you for a second there. All right, and save and continue. I should get a light for my desk, huh? Okay, again, all territories, Amazon.com. This is going to look just like the paperback or Kindle version, except for it's going to cost a lot more for the printing. And then Amazon takes a nice big chunk for themselves. I cannot do extended distribution because my book is a strange size. You see, it won't let me do it. But for 6x9s or 5x8s or any of the standard trim sizes, you can do expanded distribution. That will theoretically let people get sort of cheaper copies of your book for bookstores and whatever else, libraries, universities. You can do it. It doesn't make that much money. There's no reason not to, I guess I would say. If you're going to do your hardcover on here instead of on Ingram Spark, that Ingram Spark offers a lot of that distribution, and I might just do it through them. Depends on what you want. If you'd rather just keep it with Amazon, it's easier that way. And then for the pricing here, again, you got to do it manually. Here, I've had to change these prices so that the price including VAT, which is the value added tax in Europe, prices show up including tax in Europe, so you want your price to show up as it will be with the tax. So you have to play around over here to get it to come out that way, but not for US dollar and not for Europe. So that's up to you. This is a long book, so even with the $5.65 in printing, even selling it for $15.99, still only making $4 a book. So that's the longer your book is, you've got to sort of contend with that. How expensive can it be? And again, I'll do a blog post on it, but you're going to want to look at other books in your genre, considering rankings and how popular they are, and then You can come up with a book price from there. Again, Dave at Kindlepreneur has a great sort of spreadsheet mechanism for figuring that out. Okay, all right, and so that is it. It has been uploaded and it is ready to go. I'm going to click publish. Very exciting, even though this book was already published. Okay. So now you may have two separate books in here. You'll have your Kindle and your ebook. There is a way, if you have them separately, you can just, right here, you can just click link to existing ebook and it'll ask you which one to link to, and then it'll turn them into the same one. So very easy. Our hardcover for this book is actually on Ingram Spark because Amazon does not yet offer 8 1/4 hardcovers. So I'll do a video on Ingram Spark as well. But that is it in terms of uploading your paperback book. Hopefully you don't get any quality issues, rejections. And if you do, drop me a line and I'll help you get it sorted. Okay, see you later, guys.